Good morning and welcome to the third webinar of the 2024 Innovation in Motion webinar series. Thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar focuses on how PennDOT is innovating to improve winter maintenance operations. We will learn about 3 winter maintenance innovations developed by the State Transportation Innovation Council's Maintenance Technical Advisory Group. In addition, we will hear about the Maintenance Accreditation Performance Index, also known as MAPI, which is PennDOT's tool used for performance monitoring. My name is Jacqueline Huss with PennDOT's Bureau of Innovations. I'm your moderator for today's session. Before we get started, I want to review a few important housekeeping items. All attendees are muted during this webinar session. If you need closed captioning, please select the closed captioning icon in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. A question-answer period will follow today's presentation. If you have any questions during today's session, please use the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen to submit your questions. 1 professional development hour will be awarded for attending today's webinar. If you would like to receive the PDH credit, please click on the link in the chat box to complete the survey and submit your information. Before we begin, please be advised that this session is being recorded. If you ask a question or comment in the chat box during the session, please note that by doing so, you are consenting to the recording, retention, and use of your statements recorded as part of this session. I'd like to kick things off with introducing our speakers for today. Our first presenter today is Dean Paletti, Maintenance Services Engineer in PennDOT's District 11. Dean will explain how the snowplow cameras and automated vehicle locator innovation is providing PennDOT maintenance and traffic operations personnel with better situational awareness of actual road conditions during winter storms. Then Brian Horning, Roadway Programs Coordinator in Lebanon County, PennDOT District 8, will share how the Living Snow Fence innovation is an eco-friendly and cost-effective way to minimize snowdrifts on roads. Followed by Aaron Rabel, Highway Maintenance Manager in Armstrong County, PennDOT District 10, who will share how airfoils are helping to keep plow trucks cleaner while improving safety by increasing visibility and reducing how often operators need to exit and clean their trucks. And last but not least, Brian Harris, a program analyst in PennDOT's Strategic Development and Implementation Office, will present on the Maintenance Accreditation Performance Index, or MAPI, a PennDOT metric system that utilizes source data from all information technology systems associated with maintenance operations for performance monitoring. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being with us today, and let's get started.
Hello, my name is Dean Paletti. I'm the Maintenance Services Engineer for PennDOT District 11, and today I'm going to be giving a presentation on plow cameras and AVL. So our plow camera AVL project was part of the maintenance tag innovation that we started several years ago. The goal of this project was to enhance our AVL system with the integration of plow cameras. It would be to increase real-time situational awareness within our districts, our counties, area command, and PEMA staff. This was implemented in the Minnesota DOT, the Nebraska DOT, Iowa DOT, and many other states. So back in 2022, 2023, we did a pilot in District 10 and District 11, where we installed cameras in about 40 dump trucks, 3 paint trucks, and 27 assistant highway maintenance manager vehicles to try the technology and try to integrate it into our AVL platform. The hardware that we actually used came from our AVL vendor, AT&T Fleet Management, who partnered with Smart Witness, who is now Sensata. Sensata Insights provided all the camera equipment that you see pictured here. The photo on the left of the screen is what's called a KP2 camera. This is what we use in all of our assistant highway maintenance manager vehicles. The picture in the middle is the CP4 modem that is installed in all of our dump trucks. This type of modem allows up to 4 cameras to be connected and installed through this device and be sent back to our AVL platform. The camera on the top right is the front view camera that's mounted to the windshield of our dump trucks. And the bottom right picture is the camera that we use for the rear of our dump trucks or on our paint trucks, the side view cameras. These are some pictures of the cameras installed on our equipment. The left-hand photo is the rear-facing camera that's mounted on the side of our dump truck that looks towards the rear of the truck. The picture in the middle is the forward-facing camera that's mounted on the windshield of our dump trucks that looks out the front window. That gives us the view right from the passenger seat. And the top right photo here is what we call a panic button. It's a red button that we mounted inside of the dump trucks that allows our operators to push that button in the event that they have an accident, or if there is something that they want a manager to see out on the roadway, they could push that, and what it does is it creates a 20-second video in the AVL platform for us to review at a later date. So it tags that video so we could easily find it. This is a screenshot of our AVL platform where you can go into the map settings and actually view the AVL cameras on your equipment in the district. So this is District 11's equipment here. You can see all the different equipment that we have across our 3 counties. And then this shows you on the left-hand side all the cameras that are online and currently moving in those trucks. So you can go in the system and go ahead and click on any of these cameras to actually get a live stream or request video from any of those trucks. This here is a screenshot of a little closer up view of one of our dump trucks along Route 28 outside the Pittsburgh area. At the top of the screen, it gives you several options, one being live stream, one being a snapshot, one being request video, and the others are the history of that particular vehicle. If you click on the live stream, you'd be able to get a live video right out of the front window camera on that particular vehicle. If you click on snapshot, it will take a photo from the front of the vehicle, or if you press request video, you could go in and enter the date and time of a certain video that you want from that particular vehicle, and it'll send it back to the media manager for you to be able to view. So if you wanted to see something from yesterday, you can go ahead and punch in yesterday's date and time, and then that video will be ready for you once it downloads from the vehicle's modem. Here's a better view of what the live stream looks like if you click the live stream button. So our particular vehicles in District 11 have both front and rear view cameras. So when you click on live stream, you can go ahead and see in live time what the driver's seeing out the front window, as well as what's going on behind the driver. So here's a different example of just a front view camera if you pulled up just a front view camera. We've used these a couple different ways, one being mainly in our winter operations. That was the purpose of the pilot program and the purpose of these cameras initially to install them, was to be able to get a good view of what the roadways look like during winter operations. So during a storm, you could get a very good view of what the roadways look like on your interstates and your interstate lookalikes from your traffic cameras. But on your secondary routes, we don't have any traffic cameras. So the plow cameras give us a good view of what that secondary roadway looks like during a particular storm event. This is just another example of what one of the plow cameras looks like during winter operations. Another way we've been using our plow cameras is for incident management. Here's an example of one of our trucks that's pulled up to an accident scene. So we're able to use that as an incident commander to identify what needs are out there, how long it's going to take the roadway to reopen, and also to be able to have a better visual of what's actually going on site. Another thing we did with these cameras was to incorporate them on our paint trucks. We have cameras installed on 2 paint trucks in District 11 and 1 paint truck in District 10. We went ahead and installed a front view, a rear view, a left view, and a right view camera on all 3 paint trucks to try to get a full 360 view of what's going on around that paint truck. A lot of times we have issues where motorists are passing our paint trucks when they're not supposed to be. So this is a tool that we're trying to use to help try to battle some of our tort claims. And our tort liability specialist has been using this program and this software to try to battle those claims for us to reduce those claims. This is a screenshot of our media manager within the AVL platform. Anytime an operator pushes the panic button or anytime a person requests a video from one of our trucks, it'll show up in the media manager, and it's all sorted by date and time. So we could go back through at a later date and review all the video footage if needed for that particular event. So this has become extremely helpful, particularly when it comes to accident investigations. So speaking of accident investigations, this has actually become a very useful tool for many of our managers when trying to do accident investigation. So this is an example of an accident that occurred here in District 11 when a person turned at a signalized intersection right in front of one of our dump trucks, and our dump truck hit that vehicle almost head on. So the top left photo shows that our operator had a green light and the truck was coming in the opposite direction. The top right photo shows that the vehicle is starting to make a left-hand turn in front of our dump truck, and then the bottom picture is where the dump truck actually impacts the vehicle. So this actually helped out our operator, and this is where we get a lot of that operator buy-in, because we were able to use this video to help protect the operator from any claims against him. So what happens is this operator did not receive any discipline. We were able to quickly investigate the accident, and actually it helped the entire accident process get completed much quicker. Now I just want to talk about some of the results of the pilot project. The cameras worked well in both District 10 and District 11. We were able to get operators on board. We educated our operators at our safety stand-down days to get operator buy-in. AT&T and Sensata modified their platform several times to make the system more user-friendly to get us the system that we currently have today. So they were great to work with. District 11 expanded to putting a camera in every truck in Allegheny County. And in District 11, we're in the process of expanding to every single truck within the district. So hopefully by the end of the calendar year here, we'll have a camera, a front view and a rear view camera in every single truck. District 2 is also currently in the process of implementing this in their paint equipment as well. If your district is interested in adding cameras to your truck, you'd first contact Monica Westner from the Bureau of Operations to get the process started. Fleet management would also need to be involved in the modification of equipment, and you also need to meet and discuss with your union prior to installing the cameras. With that, I conclude this presentation. My contact information is on the screen. Once again, I'm Dean Paletti from District 11, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions for anyone. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brian Horning. I'm the Roadway Programs Coordinator in Lebanon County, District 8 Maintenance. Today, the innovation I'm going to be talking about is corn as a snow fence. So the innovation is basically paying farmers for keeping corn stand throughout the winter, and that standing corn will act as a living snow fence. So throughout this presentation, we're going to go over an overview of the innovation, challenges that are solved by the innovation, as well as a cost-benefit analysis. We're going to go over where the innovation has been used both throughout the country and locally. We're going to go over what worked well, what didn't work well, what we learned in best practices throughout this process, and some pictures to show the effectiveness. So what is a living snow fence? Well, a living snow fence could be any kind of growing plant which is cultivated to act as a windbreak. So in this case, we're talking about corn. It is an environmentally friendly tool to combat blowing and drifting snow. It is strategically located along state routes that are prone to drifting. So the program that we've created for the Commonwealth here involves a great deal of flexibility to farmers. So the farmers, we don't tell them exactly what to do. We leave a little bit of flexibility there to try to encourage farmers to participate. So what we developed was the farmers must leave between 8 and 16 rows of corn standing throughout the winter. And the first standing row has to be between 20 and 40 feet from the fog line. We did a lot of research, colleges, universities, other states did a lot of research for us on where is the best place to put snow fence. So while it looks very chaotic in a storm, everything blowing everywhere, where the snow falls is very predictable. So the other part of this process is the Commonwealth will agree to pay the farmer at the end of the winter season if certain criteria is met. So if they plant the corn in the right location, they leave the corn standing, the right number of rows standing, and it reaches a certain height, 4 feet in this case, a minimum of 4 feet, and the farmer upholds the agreement, which is not harvesting that corn throughout the winter, and the corn is not willfully destroyed by the farmer, then they get compensation for leaving the corn stand for our windbreak. So this innovation solves several challenges that the Commonwealth is faced with. So we all know we have a very limited workforce. We struggle every year getting temps. We struggle year round getting permanent employees. So we do have a limited workforce. So the living snow fence helps with that because not harvesting the corn provides the windbreak without occupying our staff. Our employees can focus on other maintenance related tasks in the fall. Typically, traditional snow fences installed in the fall. Our employees have better things to do in the fall than pounding posts and stringing up orange fence. They should be working on water issues. They should be doing their winter prep. They should be training new employees for all of the snow-related tasks that they'll be faced with. During the storms, the snow fence will help because employees won't have to continually plow areas that are prone to drifting over and over and over. I was an operator before many years ago. When you're chasing drifts, you can plow an area and 20 minutes later, 10 minutes later, sometimes it doesn't even look like you plowed that area. So you're chasing your tail relentlessly and you feel like you're getting nowhere. So by trapping the snow instead of plowing it, operators don't need to worry about that. So the standing corn can also help us because there could be less, or there will be less call outs for post-storm drifting. If we're trapping the snow off of the roadway and it's not blowing on the roadway, we won't have as many call outs for post-storm drifting. Another challenge that is solved by the Living Snow Fence is we have limited budgets. So the Strategic Highway Research Program did lots of studies on this, and they have concluded that plowing snow is 100 times more expensive than trapping it with a snow fence. So stagnant budgets and rising costs require us to think outside the box. How can we stretch our dollars? How can we do the best we can with the little bit of money that we have? So the Living Snow Fence will mean less passes during a storm, less call outs during post-storm cleanup, which all of that leads us to reduced material usage, decreased fuel usage, fewer hours needed for both during storm and post-storm cleanup. So it really saves a lot of money, and we can get into that here in a second. So the cost benefit. So the traditional orange snow fence is very labor intensive. It takes days and days of multi-person crews to install the fencing. It's hard work. They're out there pounding in posts. They're stringing up the orange snow fence. They are zip tying it fast, and it takes a lot of time. It's slow, tedious work. The materials are very costly. The fencing material itself, the orange fence, we buy the top of the line that we can get, but it degrades quickly, 5-year max. It tears in the wind, where we got to go out and we need to maintain it throughout the season. Sometimes it tears pretty fiercely and we can't use portions of it, need to be replaced less than 5 years. So that, coupled with the fact that the metal posts do bend and need to be replaced, they don't last forever, it gets quite costly. So again, the orange snow fence requires installation. You pound it in the fall. You need to maintain it throughout the winter, make sure that it's staying connected and working the way it's supposed to, and then you need to remove it in the spring. So we created site-specific work orders in Lebanon County to track our traditional orange snow fence. And over the last several years, we come up with, we're between $6 and $7.50 per foot of protection of orange snow fence. So the corn and snow fence, hey, it's great. There's no labor involved. The farmer is the one who plants the corn, nurtures the corn, and then allows it to stand. The costs are fixed, and we know what our costs are going to be going into the season. So the farmers are paid based on an acreage of corn left standing. There is no involvement from PennDOT field personnel to get the protection from the corn. So with a proposed payment of $3,000 per acre, if a farmer leaves 16 rows of corn, the widest amount that they can leave, if they leave 16 rows of corn standing, it will only cost the department $2.75 per foot. So it's under half of what we pay for traditional orange fence. So where has this been used? Well, throughout the Midwest, many state and county DOTs throughout the Corn Belt have very similar programs. We reached out to over 10 maintenance divisions to ask how they've implemented and utilized their corn. All of them shared their information with us, and every division we talked to wants to continue to grow and expand the program. It's a testament. The people that are using it love it. They want to keep using it. So locally, we did this as a small experiment on SR 1011 Mount Zion Road in Lebanon County. So SR 1011 is a north-south state route, which is very prone to drifting. A lot of open fields, very prone to drifting. This is a site where traditional snow fence has been used in the past. And this past winter, Assistant Maintenance Manager Joe Coleman and myself, we worked with a farmer to leave corn standing. So Joe and I took time off of work and we handpicked approximately 300 feet of corn so that the farmer could still get his corn. He ran the cobs through his combine. He still got the corn off of it, but we had a demonstration of the stalks and how well they can prevent drifting. So because the farmer ended up finding out that we were doing this on our own time to try to help the Commonwealth and develop this program, he agreed to leave another 700 feet of standing corn to help demonstrate how effective it could be. Said it was a one-time offer, but we're very grateful that he did that. So by utilizing standing corn adjacent to traditional snow fence, this past year, half of the stretch that drifts was left in corn. The other half, we have orange snow fence. By utilizing it right next to each other, we could study the effectiveness of the standing corn and compare it directly to the traditional orange fence. So the ugly, the bad, and the good. So the bad about this innovation, not all sites will be a candidate. Only roads that are planted in corn are going to be eligible, and crop rotation that farmers do may hinder year after year use in some of the same sites. There is a process that the farmers will have to follow. We'll have to create SAP vendor numbers for them, and there is a contract and agreement that needs to be executed. The other bad thing about this innovation is we're getting it going. It has not been an incredibly active weather pattern the last couple of winters, so we didn't have a whole lot of storms to test it out, but we did get 2 good ones. So the farmer was incredibly helpful. Can't say enough about the man. He really stuck his neck out for us and helped us a lot here with this whole process. So we did have 2 snow events to show the effectiveness of the corn compared to traditional fencing, and the corn outperformed the traditional fence probably 5-1. The other good about this innovation, it's very easy to implement in some areas. Where there's corn growing on a north-south road that's prone to drifting, it will be a great program. So lessons learned, flexibility is a must. Each farmer farms their own way. Farmers don't like to be told how to farm. They use different row spacing, they use different crop rotations, they use different planter setups, harvesting setups. We have to be flexible. We can't tell them it has to be exactly 20 feet off the road and you have to leave exactly 40 feet of standing corn, because that may not work for their operation. If you want buy-in, you've got to be flexible. Compensation is a must. Farmers are willing to partner, but they're not willing to do it without compensation. So the compensation that we came up with are based on the cost for the farmer to grow that corn. We use national as well as local data to determine how much it costs for them to grow corn. So lessons learned, corn is a cost-effective way to create windbreaks. It is cheaper than traditional fencing, and it highly outperforms traditional fence. Here's one of the days where we got to see it in action. So this is Mount Zion Road right here. Here's some orange snow fence. You can see there's a mound of snow. It trapped a lot of snow. Some of it still blew out onto the road. Farther down where the corn is standing, the road's dry. So my favorite picture, this the same site, the same day, looking opposite. Now we're looking north. As you can see where the corn is standing, the road is dry. Down where the orange snow fence is, it trapped a lot of snow. There's still some snow blowing out on the road. And here's a close-up. The corn traps the snow in the rows of corn. It's tough to tell how deep it is. There's parts out there that are 2.5 and 3 feet deep. It really does an amazing job of trapping the snow. So once again, my name is Brian Horning. I'm the roadway programs coordinator in Lebanon County. And thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can always email me, call, text, whatever. We're here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aaron Rabel, and I'm the Armstrong County Maintenance Manager in District 10 PennDOT, and I'm here today to give an update on the maintenance tags innovation of the airfoil that we've been working on the past 2 winter seasons. Just to give a quick backstory, the original idea came from Oregon's Department of Transportation when they presented this at the Clear Roads Convention in Pittsburgh in 2017. The main goal of this attachment was to have a curved spoiler or foil that mounted to the top of the tailgate or spreader insert and would push air from above the truck down the rear of the tailgate while it was moving down the roadway. In concept, this would eliminate the debris and material from building up on the rear of the tailgate or spreader. At that point, they had conducted a 3-year pilot in their winter snow removal trucks, which resulted in a noticeable increase in visibility, safety, and cleanliness of the units. With that being said, we felt we could easily adapt this idea and concept into PennDOT to better assist in those areas as well. When we first discussed this idea, there were some initial concerns up front from various levels of staff. One of the most voiced concerns was, would the air turbulence cause sight distance issues behind the truck as it was traveling down the roadway during a snow event? During testing, we found this not to be an issue. If anything, it assisted with better visibility. Another concern was, would the cold air being forced down the tailgate cause freezing of the material in the spreader box or spreading issues? During the 2022 Christmas storm, we experienced wet snow and then a sudden drop in temperatures to single digits, and we had no issues during this event. An additional concern was, could we get buy-in from the operators and would it actually work? Both of these we proved to be successful during the previous 2 winters of testing, to the point operators were wanting to drive these trucks versus the ones without the airfoil. Fleet management had some initial concerns with safety, and we worked directly with them to ensure we had adequate lighting and safety mechanisms in place in the event that it failed. One of the biggest initial hurdles we had was Oregon Department of Transportation utilizes a slide-in style of spreaders that the entire unit slides into the bed of the truck versus PennDOT, where we hang the spreaders on the rear of the truck. Working with our welder and several other staff, we took the original idea and modified it for an initial prototype. Since the mounting bracket was completely different from Oregon's original setup, we initially went with repurposing the old style brine tank brackets that hung on the tailgates. This not only let us repurpose these into something useful, but also expedited the build process. We conducted testing during the first winter event, which we had the steel version only. After the first event, we realized that this was actually going to work, and we quickly worked to build another prototype to try out other products such as plastic to reduce weight. We followed the same build design as the steel, but replaced the curved metal piece with plastic that is commonly used on the front of the snowplows. The thoughts were that we could potentially reuse old plow faces that needed replaced in the future if we went that direction. The downside with this approach was the plastic was significantly more expensive, and there were concerns with the plastic cracking due to the sun and temperature exposure. During the testing process, there was a lot of trial and error with the mounting and finding the correct angle of the airfoil. This was the picture from the first event in 2022, which was also the event that we had wet to dry snow and then single-digit temperatures. The picture on the left is with the airfoil versus the one on the right without. As you can see, there's a noticeable difference, but we still needed to do some fine-tuning with the angle. During the second and further snow events, we had both prototypes operational. As you can see, after some adjustments, there's a night and day difference of cleanliness and visibility of the units with the airfoil versus the one without. The operators that ran these units expressed how they would typically have to get out several times a shift to clean the tail lights and tailgates off on a truck without the airfoil, but with the foil, they ran an entire shift without having to do so. This is not only safer for the public to see us, but also safer for our operators, as it is less time outside the vehicle that could lead to slips, trips, and falls. During this time frame, we reviewed a lot of accident data for the previous 5 years and found that approximately half of the accidents statewide during the winter months that were labeled hit from behind had reference in the accident packets or police reports that the public could not see us from behind. There's a potential with this in place that we could reduce the hit from behind incidents statewide. After the previous 2 winters of testing, we worked with fleet management and the maintenance tag team to tweak the first 2 prototypes to something that we could easily roll out at a statewide level if we continue to see success, and also create our own shop drawings with our internal design folks. We did decide to go a little bit different direction from reusing the old brine tank brackets to a more simplistic and lighter version to mount the foil to the tailgate. By doing this, we cut nearly 90 pounds from the original design, which will make it safer to install and easier on the tailgate pivot points. This unit will be operable for the 24-25 winter season to continue this pilot. So what's next and where are we currently? Right now, we are finalizing our shop drawings with the internal design staff out of the district office. Once these are completed, we'll be able to easily hand these off to other areas to build in-house if they choose to, along with hopefully working with State Correctional Institute, Forest County, where they have already been working with us repairing and building equipment for the department. We have finalized the third and hopefully final version of the airfoil in Armstrong County and are also going to expand 1 additional unit in Jefferson County that will be on Interstate 80. Once this is completed, we will currently have 4 pilots running in District 10 for the upcoming season that will cover everything from a 4-digit low ADT route to Interstate 80 to maximize exposure and operator feedback. We will also be finalizing a 1-page white paper that will accompany the shop drawings with any additional information that is relevant. And finally, and most importantly, working directly with our fleet management folks on final approvals and feedback. Thank you all for attending and listening in on this. My contact information is here if anyone wants to reach out directly, or you can also reach out to the tag leaders, Dean or Lonnie, for information as well. Does anyone have any questions or feedback?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Brian Harris. I'm a program analyst in the Performance Metrics Unit held within our Strategic Development and Implementation Office here at PennDOT. Our office handles a variety of initiatives in support of the agency, from the Deputy Secretary for Highway Admin to the Chief Executive, engineering districts, and county maintenance organizations. Today I will give an overview of our Maintenance Accreditation Performance Index, or MAPI, metric dashboard, hosted in our analytics portal, which is a live metric system utilizing real-time data from a variety of source systems to produce continually updated metrics for monitoring performance of maintenance operations. Another function of MAPI is to produce scorecards to each organization annually for their respective area. MAPI is still in the process of what we call Phase 2, and some of the site and metrics are not fully developed, so we will have a more limited scope on what we can present today. The evolution of a systematic approach to obtaining data to assist in business operations started with our County Maintenance Measurement Tool, or CMMT. The purpose of CMMT was to establish standard measurements and criteria for core maintenance business functions in the county maintenance organizations, and to annually assess each county's compliance to those standards. CMMT provided uniformity and consistency in reporting and performance measurements. We then developed our first centralized data facility we call PennDOT Data Integration Facility, or PDIF, which was used to house the reports related to CMMT, and as PennDOT and the world's needs evolved, a need to access this information quickly in the field necessitated the move to the analytics portal, which leverages Microsoft Power BI and enables advanced analytical discovery via rich interactive visualizations. Here's a look at our applications when entering the analytics portal. As you can see here, this was designed for all areas of PennDOT to house their metrics for analysis on their specific business area. Let's take a look at MAPI. Here's our governance structure within MAPI. Members consist of PennDOT employees and approved business partners, and will consist of the three areas on the screen: MAPI Core Team, Advisory Committee, and Focus Areas. The MAPI Core Team is responsible for the overall administration of the MAPI program, final authorization on program changes, performance measurement, monitoring organization advancement, and supporting personnel development, while also institutionalizing core maintenance activities and the principles of central business goals. The MAPI Advisory Committee is meant to provide advice to the core team and focus areas and recommend revisions to the MAPI program. The MAPI focus areas are responsible for metric reporting and identifying solutions to attain metric target values if unmet. We currently have 5 focus areas, which include asset management, business and maintenance, field operations, winter operations, and workforce health and safety. Each focus area is staffed with a lead who is an assistant district executive for maintenance and subject matter experts who have the relevant required knowledge needed for that focus area. Additional groups, such as subcommittees, may be required if specific topics demand more in-depth analysis. Now, this is from our MAPI production site, which lists all current metrics in production in all focus areas. On the far left, we have the focus area name with the corresponding metrics in rows with specific columns of information going from left to right, including the metric number, the reporting frequency, the goal, metric name with a hyperlink going to that metric, current score, and a trend line depicting historical data depending on that metric's reporting frequency. Some of the metrics shown here are combined metrics from our MAPI Phase 2 initiative, which focused on consolidation. This means these combined metrics have contributing metrics that each have a weighted score as part of that overall combined score. We will now view a contributing metric from the combined metric on the screen with a red arrow, FOMO2 combine preservation, plan versus actual. This screen shows a typical metric score view. We have the metric number at the top, FOMO2C, which stands for Field Operations Metric number 2, and the letter at the end means it's part of a series of contributing metrics, and its individual score contributes to a combined metric score. We have filters available on the left to view a specific year, revision, location, or work center. By default, we see statewide data reflected in all areas on the screen. We have 4 maps depicting the districts and counties with specific shades of purple representing the scoring threshold which that district or county reflects. The 2 top maps reflect the percentage of plan completed, and the bottom maps reflect percentage of current plan versus initial plan, which measures if the initial plan was revised, to what extent was it revised compared to the initial. All metrics have a detailed report area where you can drill into the data to further examine and view source system information as either part of a scoring or data integrity analysis. In this particular metric, we have 2 source systems from where the data is derived: SAP notifications for the plan portion and e-payroll for the actual completed. Most metrics go through periodic review for data integrity. All data here in these reports can be exported to an Excel spreadsheet for further analysis. All reports have a similar Excel appearance with columns and rows, which to some extent can be customized inside of MAPI with available filters. All metrics have a summary area where you can compare and contrast districts and counties against one another, against the scoring criteria, or against the statewide average. So you have multiple ways to compare current scores for any organization in bar chart form. So far, we have viewed the score, detailed report, and summary pages, which are standard with all MAPI metrics. Additional areas not shown here in this presentation are the MAPI information pages, where detailed information about the metrics list the metric description, metric owner, source system, scoring criteria, reporting frequency, formulas, and more. That concludes our overview of MAPI today. Please feel free to contact us through our resource account email. Thank you.
Thank you all for your presentations and providing an informative look at PennDOT's innovative ways to improve winter maintenance. It's great to hear how PennDOT is innovating to help keep our roadways safe and passable during winter weather events. Now we would like to hear from you, our audience members. If you have any questions for our presenters today, please enter it via the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Anya Walker from the Bureau of Innovations will read them. While we are waiting for questions to come in, please direct your attention to the chat box. If you would like to be awarded 1 PDH credit for your participation, please click on the link and complete the short survey. Now back to the questions. Panelists, please unmute yourselves. Anya, what questions do we have in the chat today?
Thanks, Jacqueline. I'm going to go back to Dean's presentation that we heard first. I was wondering, Dean, could you tell us a little bit if we have districts that are interested in implementing the cameras in their trucks? Can you share a little bit about what challenges you faced, maybe some of your lessons learned, best practices, some tips for them as they go down this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So just some tips if you're trying to get these cameras implemented. You're going to want to work with the AVL section, Monica Westner, out in central office. to go through the procurement of the cameras, and I'll be glad to also help assist with that. I've helped District 2 with that as well. But some things that we've learned is you need to get some operator buy-in. You need to show them that the cameras are there to help them. They're there to help the operations, to help be able to give everyone a better view of what's going on during a snow event, so we can pretty much get a bird's eye view of what that operator is dealing with out on the roadway. But we've had some challenges throughout this entire project getting implemented. We worked out a lot of the different bugs over the last 4 years or so. So we think we have a pretty robust system right now, and it's been holding up pretty well.
Awesome. Have you heard if there are any other districts interested in installing the cameras?
Yeah, I know District 2 is actually still in the process of installing some of their cameras and their paint equipment, and then also District 6, I believe in Philadelphia County, has been looking at implementing these as well. They've been working with the AVL section on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Dean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe can you tell us how much do the cameras cost per truck if you're interested in installing them?
Sure. So if it kind of varies depending on the setup that you put in there, but if you go with a forward-facing camera along with a modem, you're talking somewhere around $350 to $400. If you go to a front and rear camera system, you're going to be right around $550. If you also install an LCD monitor in the truck as well to be able to view the cameras inside the cab of the truck, that's going to put you right around $650 to $700 per truck.
Good, thank you. And just to share with you and with everybody else, we've gotten some messages throughout this webinar that these innovations are really great and seem to be making a lot of sense. So just wanted to share this with our panelists. Okay, we do have a question here for Brian for the living snow fens. In your experience in talking with farmers, the question is, what percentage of farmers are for it? Maybe you can share what you've heard in your interactions with them. It seems like a lot of corn is lost from being harvested.
Okay, well, what percentage of farmers are interested is tough to come up with, because by default, not all farmers are eligible. If they are not planting corn along a state route that's prone to drifting, they're automatically not eligible. However, what makes farmers that are eligible, what makes them interested in the program is, I'm in Lebanon County, so eastern part of the state. A good corn crop is around 220 to 240 bushels an acre. Right now, this year, it's a little lower than that. 200 bushels per acre would be considered really good corn. And farmers are barely breaking even with the price of corn right now. So it costs a farmer in Lebanon County between $1,200 and $1,500 an acre just to plant and harvest corn. If they're selling their 200 bushels of corn at $5 a bushel, I mean, they're at $1,000. They are barely breaking even. And in some cases, if the fields didn't yield well, they're losing money. It's just kind of the nature of farming. Some years are good, some years are bad. If you are making sound business decisions, as most farmers do, that's how they can continue to move forward. They have to think with a very business mindset. If there's an opportunity for them to gross $3,000 an acre instead of $1,500 an acre, they're all about it. These farmers, they're businessmen. I mean, people often forget that, but they are running multi-million-dollar operations. Some of them, most of them, even small farms are most of them gross over $1 million a year in revenue between milk and grain sales. So they're very savvy. They're very good with their money, and they understand how they need to maximize their profits. And this fits in well with that. So the farmers that I spoke with, there was 4 or 5 of them. I'm going to say 5 of them that I know personally that I spoke with, and of those 5, 3 of them were a quick, hey, get me more information. One of them was we've never done it. I want to see how it goes for some other neighbors, and another one was kind of on the fence about whether he was interested at all or not. So buy-in seems pretty decent. And again, especially on a year where the crops aren't yielding as much. I believe buy-in might be a little higher, but it also in the spring, whatever corn is left standing in the spring after the end of the contract period, they can go and harvest it and they can sell that corn anyway. So by the time spring rolls around, most of that corn will be moldy, so the mills won't pay top dollar for it, but they can still get $2 or $2.50 a bushel for it, so they can still recoup a little bit more money that way too. So I don't think buying with the farmers is going to be an issue.
Right, thank you. And then I know your team has been busy working on figuring out a contract mechanism for the farmers, but one of the questions we have here in the chat is, how do we expand the Living Snow Fence program to get the word out to farmers, but also to our department maintenance teams?
Okay, well, from a global perspective, we kind of envision this maybe getting rolled out at one of the leadership conferences like MEDP. Be a great way to explain to the county managers, hey, this is a tool in your toolbox. We've created a windbreak decision tree similar to like the anti-icing decision tree that's in Pub 23. And you start at the top of it. Is this site prone to drifting? Yes, no. And you answer a bunch of questions, and it basically pinpoints if the site is a candidate for traditional orange snow fence or this corn snow fence. So we envision it being the assistant managers will approach the farmers and explain to them the program. Why the assistant managers? Well, the assistant managers know their section better than anyone else. They know where the drifting areas are. They know where the roadways need help. And they're also, I mean, it's not hard to tell if something's planted in corn or not. You can look at it and tell if it's corn. I mean, even people that have no idea what farming is, they know what corn is. So any assistant manager that knows their roads will be able to look at a site, follow the decision tree, and then approach the farmer if it's an eligible site.
Sounds good. Are you planning on involving the municipal service representatives as well to get the word out to the farmers?
No, and at this point, no. We don't plan on advertising it per se to the farmers, because this is only farmers that are adjacent to state routes will be eligible. So we don't want to put anything out there to basically advertise it at this point, because there's a lot of farms that are just ineligible because of their location. So we're kind of going to do the direct approaching to the farmers instead of kind of a more global where everybody can see it. So I know the farming community pretty well. They all farmers talk. They're kind of in competition with each other, but they're all friends too. So as soon as one of them gets signed up, that word will spread pretty quickly. And I'm sure we'll have some questions coming in from the farmers. But initially, like I said, we're going to use the assistant managers to basically go through site by site and then approach farmers individually.
And has the team considered planting anything else other than corn? The question says, I know some places where residents have done the same thing, but not with corn.
Yeah, so we have. The reason why corn is such a preferred crop is because it's grown everywhere across the state. And it has the ability, it has the stalk strength to withstand a winter. So it has enough foliage and enough stalk strength. It can withstand the winter. It still provides a windbreak. There are other states, many states throughout the Midwest, they offer a different program where they call it a living snow fence, to the extent of they plant trees or small shrubs, and they enter into a 20-year land lease, for lack of a better way of describing it, but a 20-year land lease with the landowner to plant those kinds of trees or bushes. There's not like soybeans, there are a lot of people who plant corn, they do a corn soybean rotation. Soybeans aren't tall enough, number one, and number two, they don't have enough stalk strength. They go down over winter. Basically look like they're steamrolled into the ground. So we need height, and there's very few crops that are grown on an annual basis in Pennsylvania that provides height. There's no, to my knowledge, there's nobody around here that grows cotton. Cotton would possibly be an alternative. The problem with cotton, though, is it can be very messy, and farmers don't like to leave that stand. Plus, they have to mow down their stalks in the fall, or they don't get an early enough jump in the spring to plant their next round. So from a crop standpoint, additional crops, We thought about sorghum, but again, sorghum lacks the stalk strength to make it through a windy winter. So at this point, it's just corn. Like I said, the other states that I spoke with, they don't offer it for any other crop for the reasons I just highlighted. But they do have, and it's a totally different program. But they do enter into some long-term land leases with some landowners to plant a different type of plant.
Thank you. Yep. Bonnie just messaged that they use willows at some of their interchanges. So,
Yep.
but that I'm assuming on a PennDOT interchange and not for a farmer. So,
Yep, and that's not an annual crop, so that's a perennial. So that lasts, those willows, they last, they're years and years and years. So again, that's not really a farmed type commodity, which is where we're heading with this program.
all right. Well, thank you, Brian. I'm going to circle back to Dean because I have two more questions here in the chat. Number one, are the plow cameras recorded and kept indefinitely? Or does it only record and stores the data when the red button is pressed?
So the camera starts recording as soon as the operator turns the key on the truck. So they do not have to push the red button. The red button just makes a blip and creates a 20-second video in the media manager for us in the AVL platform to make it more easy to find the video. But there's actually an SD card in every modem that's inside the dump trucks that overwrites every 40 hours. So the video is not kept indefinitely. They will overwrite themselves after 40 hours.
And do all drivers need to approve the cameras in I'm guessing in a county, or can specific drivers ask to not use the cameras?
No, all the operators have to use the cameras when they're installed. We do meet and discusses with the local unions prior to installing the cameras to go over that, but they do not have the option to turn them on or off inside the truck.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dean. I'm going to move on to Aaron and the airfoils that's currently going to the stick maintenance tag. Have you guys looked at any other materials for longevity or other than plastic or steel?
Yeah, so we looked into stainless steel and aluminum as well, which both would cut down on rust and long-term maintenance, but there was an additional expense with those two. The aluminum would have been lighter, but it was almost 3 times as expensive as the other materials we use. So we just, for now, just stuck with just basic steel and the plastic.
Okay, thank you. And how long does it take to build it from start to final install?
So currently right now, the curved part of the foil, we actually, we have that done by an outside metal shop. So that's really the driving force right now. But then after that, the welder makes all the other parts in-house. But once we have all the parts, it's about 1 to 2 days from start to finish the total install.
Okay, sounds good. And then will this ultimately cut down on repairs of equipment or extend the longevity of equipment?
We're hoping in the long run we will see some longevity, especially from like the backside of the trucks where all the electronics come together at. But there's really no good way at this point to track that. We kind of have tried to analyze them between different trucks on different routes. But the biggest thing though is I do want to emphasize we're not trying to do away with equipment washing by any means. We still want the operators to continually wash the equipment on a regular schedule. But we are hoping over time though that we'll cut down on some of the electrical repairs on the back of the truck.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron.
Yep.
Okay, and last but not least, Mappy, Ryan, and Brian, a few questions for you guys as well. What happens if a county scores low on an annual scorecard?
Yeah, I'll take that one. If a county doesn't meet their metrics scoring goal, and this is for any of their scored metrics, the county manager would work with their assistant district executive for maintenance, as well as the regional manager from the operations and performance division, which is part of the Bureau of Maintenance. They would work together to come up with a response plan to address any metric that fell below the scoring goal or was trending downward. And that would then eventually be approved by the core team and put into action to correct anything that was, again, not meeting that scoring goal.
Okay, sounds good. And how many metrics are there overall?
I'll take that one. We currently have 35 scored and 31 non-scored metrics, including one report we have in production, which is the maintenance adherence plan versus actual report. And we're still in the process of refining these with our phase 2 initiative.
That's good. And then last but not least, I know we're getting close to time. What is the difference between a metric and an indicator?
Yes, I'll take this one. Yeah, a metric is scored and requires a response plan if the goal is not met, whereas an indicator helps drive business decisions, but is not included on the county scorecard for varying reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think with that, I'll hand it over to Jacqueline.
Great, thank you. Well, we had some great questions. We appreciate you all participating. But if you still have a question that has not been answered, you're always welcome to submit your questions to .innovations@pa.gov, and we can work with our panelists to provide responses to your questions following today's webinar. And I'd like to thank all of our presenters for today. Thank you all for participating in today's session. Please keep in mind we have 2 links in the chat box. The first is a quick feedback survey that we'd like you to complete. The second link, again, is to request 1 professional development hour for participating in today's webinar. And your feedback is valuable to us and will help us plan for our future events. We'd also like to remind you to look out for the invitation for our last 2024 Innovation in Motion webinar for this year, and that's happening on December 10th. Please keep in mind, if you have any innovative ideas to share with future webinars, we'd love to hear from you. Please send your ideas to .innovations@pa.gov. And thanks again for joining us today, and we look forward to your participation in future webinars.